It's an exciting idea to record some voice. Try to get some voice application instead of my face. So I'll start with some relevant information as to what life is. My understanding of life is something very simple. Life is all about living. And then you come to a point which is very complicated. You do not think about living, you think about aspirations. You think about how different you are. But fundamentally, I am influenced by nobody except myself because I'm a very selfish man. I am only influenced by my convenience. Convenience is what matters for a human being, whether philosophical or not. In the relevant society, I can tell about so many people because this is a dynamic society where relevance changes. What Mahatma Gandhi says is relevant eternally, but not dynamically. There's a difference between that. Eternal and dynamic. The eternal philosophy was non-violence, truth, cleanliness, honesty. But if Gandhi was alive today, would he be relevant in the social media age? So many people would troll. He's trying to be over enthusiastic. Or they would question his simplicity in today's dynamics. Simplicity was Gandhi. Gandhi was simplicity. But it was relevant then. But today, simplicity is not the means to ends. Simplicity is a process of creating wealth and then being simple, rather than being simple without being simple. Today's generation want to be simple after, or whatever I would say, or maybe there's a contradictory statement here again. Nehru was a wealthy son. You could ask this question, why Nehru followed Gandhi. He was a wealthy son, but not wealthy by himself. By today's standards, anyone, but I would interrupt again to myself. I'm talking to myself. You can call this an interview of myself. I'm asking questions to myself. I'm answering them in the true spirit. So, when someone asks if Gandhi is relevant today, He's eternal. It's not today. He's eternal. For two reasons. One is, he was adamant. He believed his philosophy. And he was a leader. And he did not hold a post of an office. And nor did he dream it. His thought process was something greater. I don't call him a statesman, to my understanding, not for his. But some of his arguments were questionable, which the modern community or modern people would debate. Like his experiments with food systems, not of many people do not know or understand until they read him deep down the hat, that he had a philosophy on eating what is right and what is wrong, and he proclaimed it. So today, if Gandhi would have pitched on Shark Tanks, you think he was acceptable? No. But his opinion was carried around. He talked about goat milk, which is not practical, non-sustainable, not viable. Shall we call him foolish? No. He was a very practical man. He was a mass influencer. Mass. What you call in today's language, I don't understand. There's something called market influencing. You take Gandhi as a role model. He was the influencer. And undermining the philosophy, what do you think he would gain out of it? Till date, I could not understand what he could gain out of it. But he taught freedom, yes. He was a great leader. And his approach to freedom was very, 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 very methodological. And if you think about corporate acquisitions today, it could be organic or inorganic. I don't know, I'm confused. So sometimes I think he was organic. Sometimes I think it could be inorganic. But whatever modes, appeasing, consistency, sustainability. If you think the greatest inspiration of building organizations could be Gandhi. Take him as an entrepreneur of building India. Whether it's an organic purchase or inorganic. He literally purchased it with resources, whatever. I would call him rather as a meticulous CEO. If comparisons arise, anyone could bring up anything. Either it could be technology, it could be implementation. I just met with a small-time entrepreneur. He said the biggest challenges of entrepreneur of not growing is There is too much money vested with too few people. I relate technology to mining. In India, technology and mining are the same. Whoever cracks the first has so much money that he can do so much mining that, you know what mining is? Mining is to basically extract minerals or do what is of high value things. So whichever has company has a pole position today in India, if you take about Formula One race, it's all about pole position. It's all about McLaren in the real world. It's all about where can new companies start up. The foolish people, the bright people, but the business goes on. I'm not talking about ecosystem. Ecosystem is very fine. The political system is fine. We are the finest democracy in the world. No challenge. If you talk about Sweden, if you talk about Singapore, compulsory military, I disagree with that in Singapore because it's about life and personal liberty. It's about Ambedkar, who has written such a fine constitution. It's not about him, but who's contributed to his thought process. We have to pay the price for this liberty in India. First thing. That is why I like India. I like India for the freedom that we have. And it's changing. It's not that. I'll talk about an example. There are so many movies in Indian cinema which depict police officers as bad. They rape, and they do something, they hit something. It's not like that. No more. They're very conscious. 95% of the policemen are good. There could be incidents where they're bad or bad. And I can definitely tell you there are two types of cases, civil and criminal. Policemen could be bribed on a civil case. I'm not saying this out of conviction, but they could. There's a possibility. But they cannot bribe them on a criminal case. Social consciousness has grown in India. It's not easy for someone, some police officer, whoever it might be, to do injustice consciously or unconsciously, unless there is a political motive to it. A common man by far will not be affected. I am satisfied with the criminal justice of India, and it will go further. Not criminal justice, but the police system in general. Justice, you know what? How is it defined in India in terms of civil? To seek justice. Mahatma Gandhi once said, justice delayed is justice denied. It's not similar. I don't know why all the chief justices here put together. Maybe it's true in criminal, but in civil law, justice asked is justice delayed. So better off you stay happy. That's also a conducive thing. I'll talk about it once more. In civil justice, there is no justice because two people who have knocked the doors for justice in a civil case usually think they're both right, and I don't defy them unless it's again criminal related civil justice like a check bounce or otherwise. When I'm talking about land, usually it happens so that there is some gap and it can never be decided. Countries are not deciding. The United Nations is not deciding. The total hierarchy is not deciding. No one is able to compromise. So what can a junior civil judge do with a limited boundary of 1 feet, with no proper survey? It's impractical. Any civil justice is debatable, arguable by a better lawyer who can represent. And it takes time, money, and putting good money into bad money. So entire gamut of things fall into here where we can discuss about secularism in India. I'll talk about few things. India is a secular country, yes. The biggest beauty of India is its secularism and its democracy in the true sense. We are free to practice whatever religion ethically, or even an RMP. I don't know what an RMP is. A registered medical practitioner can practice his own medicine in the village, because though there is unemployment for doctors, RMPs earn more than the doctors. Debatable again. Why? This is the true meaning of democracy. The system which is created is all under the law. The Constitution of India is so strong as far as criminal justice is concerned. And RMP can perform basic medication, but he cannot perform any surgery or whatever. But it's not dynamic. It's so rigid and so flexible. Constitution cannot be changed, the basic structure of the Constitution. But the Constitution can be changed. So many regional parties, so many national parties, such an expensive electoral system. We know everyone spends money, but still we are quiet. You know why? Tolerance. Tolerance to religion. Tolerance to power. My only concern is the primary nature of things. Like basically, some structure should get into place. Like, it's getting better with day, but I agree. Like the passport, like the Aadhaar, everything is getting streamlined. Digital transformation. Prime Minister is all powerful. He cannot do anything. Even then, the finance minister is all powerful. There are some mistakes. I'm not a person who comments on systems, but rather, how can we improve ourselves? Drive better. Take note of that. Go to a driving school. Don't learn all by yourself. Go to a professional driving school. Learn how to give an indicator. Learn how to do low beam. Learn how to do high beam. Follow traffic rules. Wait for your turn. When your justice is denied, just fight fundamentally. Learn basic law. Don't fight overtly. When you've done a mistake, agree. Submit. Be conscious. You know which is the highest revered field in India? I mean, respected, the army. But no one wants to join. Army is putting up advertisement in India. I wouldn't recommend you to join army, but if you're passionate, that's a career as well. Take it as a career. Take it as a career. Do the short commission, SSC, short service commission. I think the most successful people in India are not IITs or IIMs. Those who come from SSC. I've seen a lot of people. I have done no research on that, but I can see that they're very, very, very logical, hardworking, fit, and ready for industry, whichever it is. Try to do SSC, short service commission. It's not very competitive unlike IITs and IIMs. But in general, life is not about comparison. It's not about IITs or IIMs or ISB or whatever. Definitely, competition is necessary, but not the benchmark. If in India, with such a huge population and population divide, demographic as well as economic divide, like people say in India, the rich are rich, the poor are getting poorer, rich are getting richer. There's no middle class. So there should be more poor people in India. Then why do not we get someone to do a good job consistently? You're not getting poorer by money. You're getting poorer by the mindset, the happiness quotient. Many African countries who are so poor than us have an happiness quotient better than us. Their happiness quotient lies in the belief system. Even there, the gap is much more. The rich are much richer. They tie their boats. They clean their butt, toilet, everything with hands. I've seen them. Their driving skills are much more appropriate. I am not in a position to ask the Indian government to give H1B visas to Africans to India, because I've seen a lot of better drivers with low value work. They're ready to work here for half the pay. Nurses who are very good, if you train them, reputative work, they're very good. Maids, whoever. Get a lack of people from Sudan or wherever, get them to work here. But India itself, there is a lot of debate about unemployment, malnutrition, poverty. How can I encourage that? Either move there. I've tried that, but there's no operational efficiency. Operational efficiency is in India. So the global scenario summed up, India definitely will emerge more desertization will come in. But the poor cannot survive. 80% of the people do not have a smartphone, which is a huge device. Basically, I would recommend them to voice enable a device which is very basic. Voice enable it. Vernacular is not enough. People have still to learn. There's a huge population which is still above 30. See, there is no composition or there's no analysis. I'm not an economist, but I'm asking you this one question. People say there are 1 billion population, 1.5 billion, whatever. Let's assume that India's population is 100 crores. So I'm still backdated. How many breadwinners are there? If you say how many breadwinners are there, it could be probably 20% of it. That could be 20 crores. Out of that, how many are educated? That could be, say, 5 crores. I've not done any data analytics. I'm giving you a disclaimer. I've not done any data analyticals. 5%. Educated, basic education, who can read and write, 5 crores. And how many of those 5 crores are digitally enabled? 1 crore. And how many of them are digitally literate? Maybe lesser. So what is the solution? You should create digital education centers across the country. Not formal education, not vernacular. With the invent of AI, it is relevant that opportunities are immense. But for them to transact digitally, you have to create digital learning centers. Give them cheap gadgets, free. For a beggar to beg, there are so many beggars. Can you eliminate begging in India? Do that. It'll take time. It's a social taboo to donate in India to a beggar. Give them a gadget, whether they throw them or whatever. Or give them some kiosks, whatever. Digitally enable them. Digital learning, about how to transact digitally. Only transactions. Take money, give money. Check whether you have money or you don't have money. This is empowerment by yourself. We cannot send everyone to school or do anything drastically in India. Our tradition has been submissiveness. Whether you call it India shining or India whining, but we are very submissive to change. It's not, I can talk about so many things which are not good, so good, like the DNA, the religion, the culture. but I would say fundamentally train people on digital transactions. Training centers, first thing, put some kiosks, enable them. Enable a beggar to beg digitally. Change will eventually come. Start from the lowest rung. If you teach a beggar to beg digitally, would anyone go less than a beggar? If he goes, it's up to him. But this how to teach people in India how to transform. They will still donate. In front of temples, let the beggars sit. With whatever gadget they have. And let people give them donation digitally. 10 rupees, 5 rupees, 2 rupees, 1 rupee, whatever. We have to have a bottom-up approach rather than a top-bottom approach. We can transform India digitally through a cultural or aspect. Otherwise, India has been rigid. The biggest example is the religious mix of India. India has been under Islam rule for over. I will not talk about rule. This is being rather political, but it's just a theory, to my understanding, for more than 400 years, or a Christian rule for more than 200 years. Various rules. But the religious mix has been so stubborn that it still is 80% Hindus. No other country in the world which has been occupied by either Islamic rulers or Christianity or whatever rulers by nature, it's by religion, have not stayed so adamant under oppression or suppression. They have been oppressed, they've been suppressed, but they have not let down their religion. Those are so adamant to change. So if you want to empower people, empowerment is through understanding, it's through religion. Religion is an integral part of our culture. It's not about what I infer to say. So start at the lowest level of the rung, the poor people. You're saying everyone has a QR code to take. Yes, who are doing so. I would come to my earlier point. There are only probably 25 crore breadwinners in India. Bread earners, out of them, literate might be 5 crores. Out of them, digitally empowered might be 1 crore. But 25 lakhs, whatsoever, I don't know. Top from the lower rung of people. Empowering India is possible only through literacy. Literacy means better mental health. Better mental health leads to more productivity, time. Productivity in time is the ambition to do something digitally. A simple case study is a milkman. I studied it. He always demands money, whatever form today might be. Anything digitalized gives him more receivables, more cash flow. He doesn't know a 20-day delay in payment by too many people are getting those kind of people into a debt trap, unorganized money trap. So subscribe all essentials. Subscribe. Pass a rule. This is not business, this is governance. Subscribe all essentials. Subscription. Anyone who needs milk, subscribe. Whether it is through your apps or otherwise, or third party. Ensure that the cost is minimal, the quality is high. Subscription governance. It helps because you subscribe, because it's certified by the government. Milk is of qualitative. You have so many departments. Subscribe. There is data which is built around subscription. Who is the officer here? Who is authorizing the subscription? Yes, it leads to further corruption, I know it. Initially, but not eventually. This is the only way to go. Subscribe. Essentials. When you need it, you have to subscribe it. You're giving a subsidy. Subscribe on an app. You don't know it, go to the nearest digital center. They will subscribe for you. But pay it upfront. Enlist the vendors for essentials first, like milk, whatever. Not the media, but don't do subscriptions for newspaper. It's not necessary. Not for Tata Sky. Media is essentially a fourth pillar. It is the organization which should be independent without governance. So ensure that there are proper cash flows. Ensure that everything is secured. It's not socialism I'm talking about. It's not your problem, but subscription through government will ensure that indirect taxes are coming in place. It's the only assurance. Subscribe. Subscription means incremental value of indirect taxes, not direct. It ensures a system where there is better operational efficiency for all the marginal businessmen on the low end. This is something I call proactive socialism or socialist capitalism. Essentially, subscribe to the utilities, gas or whatever. There should be subscription. so that you can plan all your resources which India has to import. You can talk about balance of payment, balance of trade, improve it. There's so much of data being created. India should be application based, subscriber based, on needs, not wants. Thank you. I conclude.